Hey everyone, welcome back to It STO. I know it's been a long time since the last episode, but I thought I'd give the podcasting a second chance. It STO, of course, is all about what's happening in Star Trek Online. Along with other things, we have lots of gameplay tips and opinions on what Cryptic is working on. I'm your host, Smeagolsneak, and can I just say, it's great to be back. In the time I've been off the air, a lot has changed. The game has changed, and certainly for me, the PvP community has changed. In past episodes of It STO, I looked at some important fundamental knowledge that is useful for everyone who is, for example, trying to improve their performance in PvP, such as keybinding and some basic example builds. Now that I've covered all that sort of stuff, I can go ahead and create a show that's more fun for me to make and geared towards more knowledgeable players. But for the rest of this episode, I'm going to talk about the new content that was introduced while I was on hiatus and look at what's happening for the game in the next update, Season 8.5. So since the last episode, a lot has happened in game. Starting off, Season 8 launched. Mainly this was about adding another alien race to the game, the VOF, which are a race of space dinosaurs battling it out over the Dyson sphere. I think the main highlight for me is the territorial control battle zone, which was something completely new in Star Trek Online. Also the Dyson rep, which is an updated new style of rep system, and I'm quite pleased with it. It's much easier than the other rep systems and also quite rewarding. However, with Season 8, I do think that there wasn't enough content to keep the player base going, so I finished all my Season 8 rep and I'm back to playing non-Season 8 content. Then next came the winter event. That was sort of there to fill the gap, but for me the winter event meant that I just got ice boots and lightsabers on my Romulans, and the event was pretty similar to last year, so I wasn't really too interested in all that. Also recently there was a new executive producer in the captain's chair, Mr. Stephen D'Angelo, who replaces Daniel Stahl for Star Trek Online. It's not the first time Stephen's held a position. He did sit in it temporarily once before, I think when the game was going through its free-to-play transition. Now, in upcoming content for Season 8.5, which is set to go live at the end of January, as far as we know, this involves a number of episode revamps for the Federation, along with better functionality when switching ships and equipment. Also, with the anniversary event approaching, there's going to be another featured episode and a ship, most likely in a similar fashion to the Mission Temporal Ambassador from the previous year. And if I'm not mistaken, the upcoming mission will advance the game's story with the Iconians, and the ship will be some sort of Dyson sphere technology ship. Another thing which I can predict is that Tim Rush, who played Tuvok in Star Trek Voyager of course, will be doing some voiceovers in the upcoming mission, reprising his role as Tuvok, and is now the captain of the USS Voyager. Of course I know this from Community Manager Brandon's, aka Brandflakes' episode of Onscreen, where he interviewed Tim Rush himself. I've always admired Tim Rush for his dedication to the Star Trek fan base and for going out of his way to get involved in fan projects such as Star Trek of Gods of Men and the upcoming fan film Star Trek Renegades. Also, for the first time ever, Cryptic is adding something for PvP. When I read this for the first time, I sort of froze up and stared at my computer screen for a while, but yes, it's happening. You did hear right, something for PvP is being added. Oh my. It's not much, but it's going to be a small craft PvP mode with mixed faction queues, so Feds and Klingons can queue up against other Feds and Klingons. As a dedicated PvP player myself, and I'm sure quite a few other members of the PvP community would like to thank Cryptic for actually doing something. However, I will say that PvP itself is still in dire need of a lot more attention. We would particularly like some content that involves our proper actual starships. Okay, now that I'm up to date with what's happening in game, I've got a quick tip for people that play the Dyson ground battle zone. So this is just a quick tutorial on how to score free V-Rexes on the Dyson Ground Battle Zone, or Jurassic Park as I often call it. So if you've played this zone before, you know that once the allies have overall influence, then the Omega Silos activate and you have to kill the free V-Rexes to claim the Omega Particles for the allies. All you need to do is shoot a V-Rex to be eligible to receive the reward for killing that particular V-Rex. So if you can shoot all 3 of them in the park, outskirts and city, then you get the reward for killing all 3 dinosaurs. This is a strategy that practically guarantees you to tag all 3 dinosaurs before one of them drops. To start with, I go to the silo at the city when the allies' influence is about 95% and wait for the V-Rex to spawn. Hopefully some kind allies will capture another point, bringing the allies to 100% influence. When the V-Rex beams in, take your shot and then, well, let him squash you. It's great that in video games you can die sometimes and it can be useful, so try and stand on his mortar attacks. They're indicated by green circles on the ground, and you can die quickly that way and then respawn just outside the command center. From here you run to the outskirts transporter inside the command center to tag your second V-Rex. Also at this point it may be a good idea to help your zone out by taking out one of the VOF engineers up at the silo themselves, as if the VOF get all the particles, no one gets credit for that particular V-Rex. From the outskirts we run back to the transporter and then beam to the park. In the park it's a sprint to the finish line down the hill to tag your final dino. To speed yourself up even more, use your ice boots or even motion accelerator if you're a tactical officer with one of the relevant kits. That's about all I've got for you this time. I hope Make It STO is back now for a more regular basis, and until next time, make it STO.